A galaxy far, far away. 3 films, 6 years, and it rewired how a generation saw good and evil. But what happened off screen, the secrets kept for 40 years, the voices replaced without warning, the love that outlasted everything, never made the cut. In 2026, half this cast is gone. A carpenter turned superstar, a princess with a secret she carried for decades, a boy who couldn't speak becoming the most feared voice in history. This is the side of Star Wars the reruns never showed. He was on his knees installing a wooden door at Francis Ford Coppola's office when George Lucas walked in. Tool belt around his waist. Nobody expected anything. That man was Harrison Ford, and he had no idea he was about to become Han Solo. Ford had spent years trying to make it as an actor. Hollywood kept saying no, so he taught himself carpentry from library books and took whatever work he could find. He didn't quit acting, he just stopped waiting for it. Columbia Pictures once told him he had 0-star quality. He wasn't auditioning that day, just doing a favor, reading lines with other candidates. Then they offered him the part. On March 5th, 2015, at 72 years old, he crash-landed a vintage World War II plane onto a golf course in Santa Monica, blood covering his face, and survived. At 83, he's still working, still flying. The man Hollywood threw away turned out to be irreplaceable. On December 23rd, 2016, a passenger on United Airlines Flight 66 from London to Los Angeles stopped breathing. She was 60 years old. 15 minutes before landing, nobody could wake her up. That passenger was Carrie Fisher. She had been Princess Leia since she was 19, barely an adult, already carrying the weight of a galaxy. What almost nobody knew was what she carried off screen. During the filming of A New Hope in 1976, Fisher and Harrison Ford were having an affair. Ford was 33, already married, already a father of 2. She kept that secret for 40 years. She finally told the world in her memoir, The Princess Diarist, published November 22, 2016. She died 35 days later. Fisher had been fighting bipolar disorder since her early 20s, undiagnosed for years while playing the most composed woman in the galaxy. She self-medicated through the original trilogy. She was honest about all of it eventually. Brutal, funny, unflinching. 4 days after she collapsed, she was gone. The morning after, December 28th, her mother, Debbie Reynolds, 84 years old, suffered a stroke. Her last words to her son Todd, "I want to be with Carrie." She died hours later. Mother and daughter, buried together, 24 hours apart. Carrie Fisher didn't play a princess. She played herself, and the role cost her everything. The voice of Darth Vader, the voice of Mufasa, the voice of CNN. James Earl Jones spent 7 decades as one of the most recognized voices in American life. He couldn't speak for 8 years as a child. Born in 1931 in Mississippi, Jones was uprooted at 5 years old when his family moved to Michigan. The trauma left him mute through most of elementary and middle school. He talked to farm animals because, as he said, they didn't care how he sounded. A teacher named Donald Crouch discovered he'd been writing poetry in secret, told him to prove it by reading one aloud in class. Jones stood up, read the poem, didn't stutter once. He recorded all of Vader's dialogue in 2.5 hours, paid $7,000. He asked not to be credited, out of respect for the man inside the suit. His name didn't appear until Return of the Jedi, 6 years later. James Earl Jones died September 9th, 2024. He was 93. The boy who gave up on speaking became the voice a whole civilization used to define power. Every single day for 3 films, he put on the armor. He spoke every line. He moved through every scene. He was Darth Vader. In every way that mattered on set. His name was David Prowse, and he never heard his own voice coming out of that mask. Prowse wasn't told his Bristol accent would be replaced by James Earl Jones. He found out sitting in a movie theater with everyone else. On The Empire Strikes Back, the crew nicknamed him Darth Farmer. On set for Return of the Jedi, he was handed fake dialogue. Obi-Wan is your father, because Lucas didn't trust him with the real twist. In 2010, Lucasfilm banned him from all official events permanently. The reason given, he had burned too many bridges. No specifics, no appeal. Prowse spent his final years attending fan conventions, the only Star Wars event still open to him. He died November 28, 2020. He was 85. George Lucas released a statement praising his contribution the same day. Prowse never heard it. Oscar winner, Knight of the British Empire, one of the greatest stage actors of the 20th century. Alec Guinness had nothing left to prove when George Lucas came calling in 1976. He took the role anyway, and he despised every minute of it. In his private diary, Guinness called the script fairy tale rubbish and wrote that he regretted signing on almost immediately. On set, he struggled to deliver lines he found embarrassing. He once agreed to sign an autograph for a young fan, on the condition the boy promised never to watch Star Wars again. What Guinness did negotiate was 2.25% of the film's net profits. That decision earned him an estimated $95 million over his lifetime, more than almost any other actor in the franchise, for less than 20 minutes of screen time. He died August 5th, 2000, at 86. His wife Marula followed 2.5 months later. The role he hated made him richer than anything he loved. He turned the role down, thought it was beneath him. A trained stage actor spending his career inside a gold robot suit was not what he had in mind. That was Anthony Daniels, and he ended up wearing that suit for nearly 50 years. The costume left permanent scars, metal panels cut into his skin between takes. On the first day of filming in the Tunisian desert, the crew went to lunch and left him standing alone in the heat. Nobody had figured out how to help him sit down. He once had a full panic attack on set and screamed to be removed from the suit. Daniels is the only actor to appear in all 9 main saga films. His co-star inside the other robot, Kenny Baker, who played R2-D2, was someone he refused to speak to for decades. The best friendship in the galaxy belonged to 2 men who couldn't stand each other. Every time R2-D2 rolled onto screen and beeped, you felt something. You didn't know why. A robot with no face, no words anyone could understand, and somehow it made you care. The man inside was Kenny Baker. Baker was born in Birmingham in 1934. Doctors told his family he likely wouldn't survive adolescence. He stood 4 feet tall. He spent his career in vaudeville, comedy, and music hall, performing since he was 16, before George Lucas saw a photo of him in a London newspaper and called. Inside the R2-D2 suit in the Tunisian desert, temperatures were brutal. Baker described being lowered in and sealed shut. Like a boiled egg, he said. He couldn't see, couldn't move freely. When his co-star Anthony Daniels publicly suggested Baker barely did anything inside the robot, Baker called him the rudest man he'd ever met. Kenny Baker died August 13th, 2016. He was 81 years old. The man doctors said wouldn't last, outlived the prediction by 6 decades, and was loved by an entire planet for a role nobody ever saw his face in. He is Luke Skywalker. He is also the Joker. For 5 decades, Mark Hamill has owned both ends of the moral spectrum. What almost nobody remembers is what happened 4 months before Star Wars opened. January 11th, 1977. Hamill lost control of his car on a California freeway and flipped it. He broke his nose and shattered his left cheekbone. Surgeons rebuilt his face using cartilage from his own ear. The Wampa attack in The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke's face is slashed, was written to explain why he looked different. Luke Skywalker's battle wounds were real. He's 74 now, still working. He rebuilt his face, rebuilt his career, and built a second legacy in voice acting most people forget exists. But not everyone from this cast got the chance to rebuild. The next story on this list started with a love that lasted a lifetime and a loss that never healed. January 14th, 1971. A man sat beside his wife's bed in their home in Whitstable, England, and watched her die. Her name was Helen. They had been married 28 years. That night, he ran up and down the stairs of their house repeatedly, trying to cause a heart attack, trying to follow her. That man was Peter Cushing. And 6 years later, he showed up on a Star Wars set and played the most feared man in the galaxy. He took the role partly because he needed the money, partly because he needed a reason to keep going. On set, he wore bedroom slippers instead of boots. The costume hurt his feet, so every scene of Grand Moff Tarkin was filmed from the waist up. Carrie Fisher later said she had to remind herself he was the villain, because the real man was the gentlest person she had ever met on a film set. Helen had left him a letter. He memorized every word. "Don't grieve for me," she wrote, "and don't hurry from this world, for you will not go until you have lived out the life appointed for you." He carried those words for 23 more years. Peter Cushing died August 11th, 1994. He was 81. He never stopped believing she was simply waiting somewhere else. Most people think they know exactly who Billy D. Williams is. Lando Calrissian. The smile, the cape, the smoothest man in any galaxy. They're only half right. Williams was born in 1937 in Harlem. He won a painting scholarship as a teenager. He became an actor to fund his art supplies. Hollywood was never the plan. It was the detour. He became the first black actor with a major role in Star Wars when he joined The Empire Strikes Back in 1980. He returned 36 years later in The Rise of Skywalker, one of the longest gaps between appearances as the same character in film history. Billy D. Williams turns 89 this April. Married to the same woman for over 52 years. Still painting. The galaxy got Lando. The canvas got the rest of him. That galaxy far, far away was always a mirror. What it reflected wasn't space. It was us. Every person on this cast showed up and did the work. Some in costume, some in pain, some in silence, some carrying things the camera never had the resolution to capture. The distance between who they played and who they were. That gap is where the real story lived. The Force was never with all of them equally. What character from this cast do you still think about? And why? Thank you for watching Golden Star Moments. If you enjoy meaningful moments, inspiring stories, and unforgettable highlights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest videos. Every subscription motivates us to continue creating and sharing even more quality content with you. We look forward to seeing you in our next amazing journey. Golden Star Moments, where every shining moment becomes a lasting memory.